Get past your fears of making mistakes and start to get some results in your business. I see this often with business owners online that they're afraid to put stuff out there because they're afraid of it not producing results, people not buying from them. And then they see it as, well, if I don't get the result I wanted, it was a mistake. Now, yes, ultimately doing all the right things, getting the result you want, that's what we want. But you have to be willing to make mistakes. You have to be willing to make a mess. You have to be willing to fall flat on your face and fail along the process to reach your goals. As we build campaigns, when we help clients to run campaigns that get 40, 50,000 people leads in a week, sometimes in the initial copywriting and sales phase, it doesn't produce a result. Now, guess what? We failed. We sucked. It didn't work. And you know what? That's the best possible outcome possible. That's the best thing that could happen because we learned, okay, this messaging, this marketing, this way that we put it out there didn't work. I'm constantly looking for things to fail. I'm constantly trying to get things to not work so that I know what does work. And so you need to shift your perspective away from trying to make things always work out, trying to make things always go how you want them to when you're marketing, when you're building your business, when you're trying to put stuff out there, and realize that messing up, making a mess, making a mistake is part of the process of you learning what the right things to do are. If you're only ever trying to do all the right things, you will fail. You will. Because you have to be willing to do the wrong things to learn what's not going to work. Testing things out is the process of marketing. Testing things out is the process of advertising. Testing things out is the process of what makes stuff work. And you might say, well, I'm not able or willing to do that. Great. Then you might want to give up on the dream of building a business. You might want to give up on the dream of ever doing anything great if you're unwilling to make mistakes. I mean that so seriously. Because the only way for you to ever have an impact, get out there, market your products and services, is by being willing to fail. By being willing to do the wrong things temporarily to learn what the right things are. If you're not willing to do that, you're not willing to be successful, and you're not willing to follow the harmful, painful process that's going to suck, it's going to rip the life out of you to do what you've been called to do. It hurts. It's painful to fail. It's not fun, but it's part of the process. And you know what? People that are unwilling to do that never succeed because they're constantly trying to live in their pride. They're constantly trying to live in their ego of, oh, I do all the right things. Or excellence or nothing. That's a load of crap. Excellence or nothing is a load of crap because you need to be willing to do the wrong thing to learn what makes a result. Otherwise, you're going to constantly be sitting around all high and puffed up and pious on this belief that someday you're going to only ever do the right things. And that is the worst perspective on life when it comes to marketing, when it comes to selling, when it comes to building a business. For you to produce a result, you're going to mess up. You're going to do what is not excellent. And so if you refuse to only ever do what's excellent or nothing, you might as well give up the entire dream of ever being successful. I'm so serious. You have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to do the wrong, unexcellent things. You have to be willing to do the ugly things. You have to be willing for things to not work out how you want them to in order for you to progress from where you are to where you need to be. And I know that this is a message for somebody. Get over your pride and get over your ego and be willing to fail. Be willing to mess up. Be willing to try something just to see what happens in your marketing, in your sales, in your business. Be willing to put yourself out there to be rejected by people, for people to hate you, for people to not like you, for people to not buy your products and services. Be willing to put stuff out there that is not perfect by taking imperfect, unexcellent action. Oh, I see people, they say this, they're like, oh, I don't ever do anything unless it's excellent And it's a load of insecurity crap. It's not a good thing. It is actually the most detrimental, toxic position to operate in as a business owner, to not do anything unless it's perfect. And so as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to mess up. You have to be willing to try things to see what happens in the most risky, unexcellent way. Make a mess, fall flat on your face to see how it produces a result, to test what works, to test the messaging, to test if the market responds, to test are people connecting with this or not. I'm lit up because I see people with so much potential, and then their pride and ego says excellence or nothing, and they never do anything with their life because they're operating in this prideful, life-sucking way of living that they believe that they can only ever do what's perfect or they will never do anything. And so they live in this fantasy land for years, 5, 10, 15 years of, I got a dream, I got a goal, I have this idea of what I want to do, but I'm only ever going to move forward when I know it's perfect. You got to rip that thing out of your brain if you ever want to succeed in a business online. You have to take imperfect action. You have to be willing to fail completely. You have to be willing to take risks. You have to be willing to put yourself out there to the absolute judgment of other people, to the possibility that it won't work out how you want it to the possibility that they will all reject you and hate you in order to even have an inch of possibility to be successful. It's true. And so the reason people don't do this often is tied to past experiences, trauma. They've been beaten up. They've been punished. Anytime they made a mistake, they were ripped into, and it wasn't a safe space for them to mess up. And so then when they go off on their own to build a business, they don't allow themselves to do that as well because they're operating in this psycho crazy land that tells them that they must be perfect or do nothing, that only perfection or zero are the only options, that it's a zero-sum game. Either I do all the perfect activities or I don't do anything at all while I'm sitting around sucking bonbons, waiting until the world is perfect, and I'll just sit around in my little fantasy Disneyland waiting until everything goes how I want it to. My friends, the real world doesn't work that way, and entrepreneurship doesn't work that way. For you to be sitting around waiting for all the stuff to be perfect before you finally take 1 ounce of action. Excellence or nothing is crap. Be willing to mess up. Be willing to take risky action to the point that it may temporarily hurt your reputation. It may make you look stupid and bad to other people. It may get you judged by others. It may not produce a result. It may possibly lose you money. It may not work out how you quote unquote wanted it to. But you're at least doing something. It's better to do something imperfectly than to sit around and do nothing while you're waiting for everything to go perfect for you because you have this unreasonable psycho standard of perfection and excellence or nothing that you won't do anything until it's perfect. You can't live your life that way. You're going to have to take risky, messy, disgusting, not proud of what the results are action to progress even an inch forward towards your goals. If you're not willing to do that, I challenge you, get some help on your mental health, get some help on what is stopping you believing that you have to do everything perfect, because I believe that it's a mindset that's tied to trauma. That you believe that your world is going to be destroyed if you don't do everything perfect, or give up entirely on the dream of building a business. Because you're operating in a fantasy land that will never happen for you if you are unwilling to take imperfect action, if you are unwilling to make mistakes, if you are unwilling to mess up, if you are unwilling to fall flat on your face and make a mess. My friends, you're the only one that's stopping you from reaching your goals. Your own pride and ego and need for things to be perfect before you ever do anything is the only thing that's stopping you. And it's our own insecurities and our own worries. Perfectionism is just insecurity. It's an insecurity and a fear that if I don't do everything perfect, the world is going to come crashing down. I'm going to get punished and I'm going to get hurt because I'm unsafe and insecure if things don't go perfect. Excellence or nothing. No. Be willing to take imperfect, unexcellent action on a regular basis. Make a mess every single day to learn what works, what doesn't. We launched a campaign last week. It didn't work. Good. That's the best possible outcome that it could have been. And now you know what's happening? We're getting leads and a 5x profit margin on the same ad campaign a week later by testing 3 different creatives that didn't work. We could have thrown in the towel last week, said, oh, it didn't work. I'm going to wait 6 months until I excellently can figure it out. My friends, stop killing your potential. Stop killing your opportunity. Stop destroying what's right in front of you with your own pride and ego of needing things to be perfect. Excellence or nothing is a load of crap. Take imperfect, unexcellent action. That's what produces results in business. Listen, if you got some questions on this, if you want to talk about this, if you want to share your thoughts or your position on this, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what's stopping you from taking imperfect action. What's stopping you from messing up and making a fool of yourself every single day? I know some of you have a standard where you would refuse to do that because you care that much about how you look to other people. And you refuse to do anything but perfect. You're unwilling to make a mistake. You're unwilling to try things out to see what works because you're operating in that pattern of it's got to be perfect or I won't do anything. If you want to be successful as a business owner, you got to rip that thing out of your head completely and take imperfect action on a daily basis, on a consistent daily basis. Not a weekly, not a monthly basis, not a bi-yearly basis, once every 6 months, every single day. Being willing to risk it all, being willing to make mistakes, being willing to be messy, being willing to take imperfect, unexcellent action to see what happens, to just see what happens, to just play in the sandbox and see what you can create. And that's what produces the most results. We'll talk soon, everybody. Have a good one.